Hello, and today I'll be reviewing these two books, Warcross and Wildcard. These books go hand in hand, so it's really not like you can read the first book and be done with it. And these books are also not about space travel or aliens, but I think they're equally cool because they explore some really futuristic concepts 10 years in the future. The first of those concepts is this futuristic virtual world that is deeply intertwined with your daily life. It earns you XP for whatever you accomplish in real life, also, at least in Tokyo. The core part of the plot is literally revolving around the capabilities of this seemingly harmless piece of technology. The second futuristic concept is about brain mapping, how an exact copy of your mind is created through data, and it's also shown how this chunk of data can be put into another body, extending your life infinitely. The third concept that we explore is talking telepathically to one another, experiencing what others feel using this not far from reality but still fictional concept called the Neuralink. The creator of the Neuralink, Hideo, who I believe is the son of Elon Musk, though I don't know how he ended up in Tokyo, plans on controlling the minds of each and every person in the world for the greater good. Then we have this girl named Emika, who is a bounty hunter who hunts criminals of this virtual world. And then we have this absolutely anonymous character named Zero, who isn't introduced to us until 30 pages into the book. The plot revolves around these three characters, Hideo, Emika, and Zero. I like the bounty hunter concept a lot. How Emika gives reasons to carry the many things that she does in her backpack, and how she tries to catch these gamblers or criminals, and the absolute gravity of the situation she is in. She is due on her rent, and just because somebody else alerted the cops before her, she misses the bounty, and then on the same night, she tries to hack in to the Warcross finals to steal this extremely expensive power-up, and then her data is exposed to every Warcross user that was watching the finals. I was like, what? Because that's a lot of bad things that can happen to a person on the same damn day. I like the effort that Emika puts in finding out who Zero is, the determination. And when Emika was being briefed about the meeting that she would be having with Hideo, she was told not to question Hideo about his family. But then I like the trust that Hideo has in Emika, and how after 2 to 3 meetups he shares about his brother who went missing when they were kids. And then suddenly my feeling about Hideo trusting Emika just collapsed when I found out about Hideo's actual plans. But it is equally surprising to see Zero trying to save the world from the algorithm, because you've known Zero as this anonymous guy who's trying to take down the algorithm, destroy the Neuralink. But compared to the second book, the first one is relatively bland in terms of plot. You are being introduced to things, and because of the sheer suspense that has been built through the book, you just can't quit. But the ending of the first book definitely disappointed me because I expected a proper, or at least a half ending to the story. But Wildcard more than just makes up for that. Throughout Warcross, Marilu sets us up for the huge impact of Wildcard, which is much more suspenseful than the former. The true limits of the Neuralink is actually quite unexplained, because at one point of the book, Emika hacks into the Warcross finals, which is being watched by billions of people. Imagine the security on that. And then suddenly, she's not able to hack into some simpler things or do some simpler things with even more time. For example, she could have tried to give herself a bit more HP, or make her avatar invincible in the other finals, which was before the algorithm kicked in, and then she could have respawned when she died virtually. Why? It's not explained why she was not able to do all of that, but she was able to do something, according to me, is much more bigger than that. Why isn't such a talented hacker not able to, at least to some extent, protect her data from Zero? And yet again, here we can see Zero's capabilities. A lot of controversy and unclear things, but like they say, don't sweat the small stuff. Because these books have a lot of memorable moments that you will cherish after reading through. Emika's love for her father and her grief for him whenever she thinks about him. What would my dad have thought if he knew that I just hacked into the Warcross finals? Or what would my dad think if he knew that I am in Tokyo meeting the richest man in the world, the creator of the Neuralink? That shows the depth of her character. It also makes the series so much more relatable to many readers. Even though I have never had to face something so tragic, I still shudder to think about how it feels to live such an isolated life, surrounded by everyone but still alone. In Wildcard, all the pieces of the puzzle finally fall into place, and to be frank, it was quite the surprise. You see, at one point, I suspected that Sasuke could be Zero, but I seriously did not expect that depth of a backstory. I also doubted Jax at one point, so the truth's really not staring you in the face like you might expect it to. But the end is a drag. Man, everything is so good until you reach the final fight. The excitement is getting to you and you have to read through this super slow and boring, in my opinion, fight against Zero, where the odds are 1 is to 1,000 and they still end up winning without any losses. Very unrealistic. Just touching the players was what mattered in taking control of their mind. Why didn't all of Zero's bots just, sprout wings and fly to them and touch them? There are 1,000 things that Zero could have done in stopping this, and him being Data, they were all in his territory and he still ended up losing. There are no major plot holes and it's a very fun read, the duology. But let me share some of the themes that are also covered in these two books. So number one, we have the extent to which humans go in getting what they want. We see this when Taylor has Sasuke kidnapped and he has to forcefully go through this entire program when he knows that he will be dying. Number two, technology, however advanced, will always have flaws. We see this when with all of the glitches that happen with the mere existence of Zero in the Neuralink. Number three, powerful technology in the wrong hands can be devastating. We all know what Zero did when he got control of the algorithm. Number four, the rate at which technology is evolving right now, how technology might evolve so that we won't even have to move our lips to speak. We can just think to each other. We can just link to each other and feel what the other person is feeling. Number five, the gap between the rich and the poor. The rich just keep getting richer and the poor poorer. We see this when Emika's entire rent and debt could have been cleared out by just selling this one sneaker from the Phoenix Rider's house. Every time I read some brain related stuff, brain mapping, brain controlling, I always thought about Elon Musk. Ratings time. So I'll rate the duology based on idea and plot, world building, characters, and the narrative. Idea and plot. Like I said, both these books are necessarily the other halves of the same story. So the main plot is the same, stopping the algorithm. But some smaller plots which are still important and interesting spring up throughout the story, keeping the tension high. And it's not every day someone comes up with such a great idea for a science fiction book. 9 out of 10 for the idea and plot. World building. So the way the Neuralink is brought to you, the way it's introduced to you, you are like, okay, that's a piece of technology that everybody uses. Now what next? You barely find yourself noticing the sheer volume of what it means to this world that Mary Lou creates in this book. The culture and other minute additions make the world like fully immersive, but it could have been explained better so that you understand the boundaries of this current technology. 7 out of 10 for the world. Characters. I've always had trouble understanding characters like Roshan or DJ Ren, but almost every other character is explained pretty well. 8 out of 10. Narrative. The narrative in these books is probably the most significant part of the story because the books have a lot of content, but to create a good story, that content has to present itself at the right time, in the right manner, which I think this duology does perfectly. I was pretty skeptical about the narrative until I tried to explain it to my dad when I realized the absolute complexity of the narrative. 10 out of 10 for the narrative. At the end of the book, the last second book, I got strong movie vibes and I was also unexpectedly unhappy that the story ended, but the fact that they rebuilt the Neuralink satisfied me. Finally, Emika got what she deserves after all that pressure, tough decision making, and injustice. And if you're someone who likes sci fi and such futuristic plots, these two are a must read. Thanks for watching, and if this video has helped, hit that like button and subscribe for more such content. See you next time.